Welcome to Savage and Average. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. We are over here at the lab at 60 Football Academy at 10470 South Progress Way over here in Parker, Colorado. Make sure you get your ass down here and check out the facility. Today's show is awesome. We're going to have Chad Muma, third-round draft pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars, proud Wyoming alum, Cowboy up, and he went to Legend High School right down the street, and also started in the 60 Football Academy program when he was a true freshman 8-9 years ago. So the process of seeing him drafted this year and playing so well and getting his first NFL action against Washington this weekend, we'll talk to him about all of that. So don't miss that as well. We've got a ton to talk about when it comes to football, from college to the NFL. And obviously we'll talk about the Broncos at the end of the show and that absolute fucking disaster that was on Monday night. That was just so terrible. So look, we have a lot to talk about today, and our opening segment today is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Rico's Burritos. And we've had the honor of having my man Rick Garcia in here to talk about his products a little bit and what they do and how they do it. Rick played at Oregon State back in the day, so definitely has a keen eye for the game, and his son is in the program, and his product is outstanding. So check out Rico's Burritos and all that they do real quick, and they'll be bringing us into our first segment here, which is a little Q&A with the big guy and I.
And this next segment is brought to you by our good friends at Rico's Burritos, and everybody knows here at 60 that we're big on the Rico Burrito kick here. We eat them constantly. We've got our fridge over here full of them. And we are so lucky here today on Savage and Average to have the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. Rick Garcia here, the owner and operator of Rico's Burritos. Rick played at Oregon State back in the day, and now you're running this family business. I love these. I am hammering them left and right. I apologize for maybe our bottom line isn't as good because the big guy's over here filling his gullet, but talk to everybody about Rico's Burritos and not only the business, but how much you do give back to the community. I see you got your Legend Titans shirt on today. Your son plays at Legend, and he's one of our guys in the program here. So talk about that a little bit.
He sure is. Well, first off, thank you for having me. It's always great coming in here. We are thrilled as both parent and son to be part of your organization, and also to be able to support it with our product. Our product, we've been out here in Colorado since 1997, started in the Mexican restaurant business, and evolved. And we've evolved to now a burrito manufacturing plant that manufactures thousands of burritos a day that are currently in Colorado, California, Oregon, and Washington State. And I am finalizing a deal to get our product into Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana as well.
Big time, brother.
So yeah, it's blessings all around. We strive to have restaurant quality products in convenience stores, in coffee houses, and in pubs actually as well. Now we're growing vastly in that area by having good quality at a good price. It just seems to have taken off.
And my boys love them. Every time they're here, they're always, hey, can we get a burrito, Dad? Can we get a burrito? I'm like, of course you can. The other thing that I've found here with these is all the early mornings, like school started back up, the 5 a.m.s are rolling. Your boy's in tomorrow morning early.
Yes, he is.
When they leave 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning, I'm like, guys, let's go. Cop one of those burritos, get it in your gullet before you go to school. And it fills them up with all that good protein. And just when you say home cooked, I don't think people understand, like, these burritos are like, I feel like I'm sitting in your kitchen eating every time I do it. Every time I break one open. So just talk about that here a little bit.
I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you see that. We are proud of the fact that if you bite into any one of our burritos, you'll be able to identify anything that we say is in there. Unfortunately, or maybe I should say fortunately, the majority of burritos out there, you have to hope and pray that what they say is in there is in there. And that has just managed to make me look better. Because when you bite into a Rico's Burritos, you know what's in there.
Yeah.
So what I did is, rather than use my buying power to buy cheap products cheap, I used my buying power. We had 9 restaurants at our peak. and now the thousands of burritos we make a day, I use that buying power to be able to buy great quality products at inexpensive prices.
Nice, very
So
nice.
now we can get that. And I mean, people ask me, he's like, they're like, Cruz is 16. He's weighing 245. He's huge. How does that happen? No joke. I mean, a handheld burrito that has 500 to 600 calories of good protein and good carbs is hard to find. But when you have them on the ready.
It's one of the reasons why we are so happy to have you guys as a sponsor here for the show and here at the gym. All right, so Rico's Burritos brings you this next segment. You played at Oregon State back in the day. I'm a proud Colorado Buffalo, where they play each other this year up in Corvallis.
They do.
But they're both in the Pac-12, and I wanted to get a Pac-10 members' thoughts about this, the future of the Pac-12, where you think it's headed, and if you see them, merging with the Big 12 at some point. What do you think?
Well, once I knew, or once we all saw that the NCAA was starting to lose its stranglehold on the monopoly that they had for so long, we knew that there were going to be major changes, right? The NIL deals and what have you. And listen, we're all in it to make a buck.
Amen to that,
right?
Yeah.
Amen. And
the kids should be able to prosper as well.
100%. It's great to see, right? Back in our day when we were grinding and getting the stipend, oh gosh, a little Taco Bell, living it up in the beginning of the month,
little Wendy's
and
money.
Top Ramen at the end of the month because you didn't have anything. I mean, it was rough goes, and coaches were rolling up in their BMWs and their Lexus, and we were just trying to make ends meet. It's nice to see that these young men now are going to get something for their hard work and their efforts. Seeing that, and now seeing USC and UCLA jump ship, just tells you, in my opinion, how weak the Pac-12 was.
Yeah.
And
it is
100%. And man, we just lost two very strong universities
and the entire Southern California recruiting base.
100%. I mean, that's tough. That's tough. They're going to have to link up with someone, and someone that will take them, right? They were in talks with was it the Big Ten
So the Big Ten was rumored to want Washington and Oregon, and then they backed out. The Big 12 got involved, and they said they wanted Utah, CU, Washington, Oregon, Arizona, and Arizona State, which would leave Washington State and Oregon State on the outside looking in. Stanford and Cal would go independent. They were saying Oregon State and Washington State would join the Mountain West. Some say it's a step down, but if you look at the TV deal, the Mountain West TV numbers and the Pac-12 TV numbers are exactly the same. So,
which I don't know that is a testament to the Mountain West or how terrible it was for the Pac-12. And that's the thing. The initial talks, what I heard were simply, hey, we don't want this package because it's a negative deal for them.
Yeah.
And
so
that
the
tells
Big
you
12 would be taking schools that they don't think would help
100%
their bottom line. And in the Conference of Champions, I just don't see how you can negate 10 of the teams. Like if they're just the Pac-10 without the LA market, what is the point of being in the Pac-10?
The Conference of Champions was severely hurt when UCLA left, right? I mean, UCLA, they brought those championships of the non-big sports together,
Do you think it's worse losing USC or UCLA? Because they're trying to block UCLA from leaving because they're the public university.
Right.
SC's private. They can just leave.
They can. I think for that reason, I think UCLA would be the biggest hurt. I mean, due to the fact that this is just off the top of my head, but I think that UCLA by far is the winningest university.
Oh, it's got to be with all the
other sports, right? 100%. Soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, so many other things. Girls, men's
sports. Yeah.
I mean, and gosh, you just 2 minutes on that campus, and you can't help but to think, why has this football team not been better through the years? I mean, you're in LA, which is probably also the reason it hasn't. But
well, I think it's one of the reasons why they're leaving. And just to wrap this up, but I think that UCLA and USC think that they've maxed out their conference and they're a 9 or 10 win team every year. And if they go to a bigger conference like the Big Ten, they'll be able to attract some of the guys that leave the LA market for Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State. And they're looking at that and going, okay, if we go to that market, they won't leave and we'll be able to bag our kids. So you never know. We'll see. We'll see what happens this year with CU and Oregon State up in Corvallis last year in Folsom. It was a hell of a game.
Sure was.
So that'll be fun as always. And looking forward to having Cruz in here tomorrow morning, getting back to work. So
thank you, man. Like I said, we appreciate what you do.
I appreciate what you do. It's a great product.
Thank you. We see how you give back. The way I try to do it is now I'm a coach at Legend as well. They're giving me an opportunity to spend time with the boys, which I love. This game that has given us so much, to be able to spend more time with it is a blessing. So
Amen to that.
Thank you, brother, and thank you all.
Amen to that. So everybody check out Rico's Burritos. You can find them all over the place, especially here at 60. And what's the website there, Rick?
www.ricosburritos.com.
And I don't say it that good. That's my man, Rick Garcia. And we roll here on Savage and Average.
All right. Thank you to Rico's Burritos for all that they do. And they're going to bring us our little Q&A session of the show here today, where we talk about a lot of the different things that have happened over the week to try and drive the show and get this going. So Big Travis, right off the bat, number one.
Who is more likely to make the Super Bowl, the Rams or the Bills?
So Thursday night was it looked like Buffalo played their guys and played hard in training camp, and it looked like the Rams didn't. And I think Buffalo has a better shot to get to the Super Bowl and win it. I think there's something going on with Stafford's elbow that they're not being forthright about, number one. And look, they lost Vaughn. Jalen Ramsey's not playing up to snuff. He got toasted in the Super Bowl, and he got toasted on opening night. They got their ring, and everybody knows that after you get that ring, sometimes the desire isn't there. There's a reason there hasn't been a repeat since the Patriots did it way back in the day with Tom Brady, who's still playing, by the way. So I'm going to go with the Bills there. They are elite, and Josh Allen is just different, bro. Talking about Wyoming Cowboys. With Chad Muma talks about Josh Allen a little bit later in the interview, and Josh Allen is different. I've never seen anything like this before in my life, ever. And he could potentially be the most gifted quarterback to ever play the position by the time he's done. He reminds me so much of John Elway in the way he throws the ball, but then he's like a super freak. He's John, but really fast. That's nuts. Nuts. Number two.
All right, so we had a big weekend of the pay-to-play. 6 games went down where the participant that paid to play won. You have Incarnate Word at Nevada, Weber State at Utah State, Marshall at Notre Dame, Appalachian State at Texas A&M, Georgia Southern at Nebraska, and Eastern Kentucky at Bowling Green. Which one was the most significant win?
Oh, boy. So, look, going to Notre Dame is always big if you can get a win there. Marshall beating Notre Dame that's fucking huge. It's huge. A&M losing to App State. App State damn near beat North Carolina at home the week before and should have. They went for the win and lost, and you got to respect that. They've got it rolling down there at App State. To go to College Station, I've won in College Station, but I played at Colorado. We're Power 5. That's a massive upset, probably the biggest upset ever for App State. But then again, you got to remember they beat Michigan back in the day, which really put, if you're playing App State, that is not a fucking pushover game. You might be paying them, but they're going to be paying you during the game. But I got to look at the Nebraska one as the most significant because it rolls into our next question. And Scott Frost getting canned after 5 years of just bad football. UCF was undefeated when he came out of there, and that guy, I thought he was going to be the savior for Nebraska. Not that I care, but I want Nebraska to be good when we beat them. I want it to mean something. And both programs suck right now. That's not my point. But I think that the most significant is Nebraska because it costs somebody their job. They just saw enough and they pulled the plug. So I'm going to go with Nebraska. Number 3.
All right, so we saw the little footage of Frost leaving Sunday out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Who is next to replace him?
This is a really good question because I don't know. I'm hearing Urban Meyer might get interviewed, and I think that please hire Urban Meyer, Nebraska. Please hire him because he will fuck your program up way worse than it is now. You might win 1 or 2 times. You might have a 10-win season every now and then. But when he leaves, there's going to, like, shit's going to be bad. There's going to be some kind of scandal when he leaves. So just be prepared for that. You know, I don't know if it's if the age thing lines up, but Coach Bowl of Wyoming, he was there when they were the black shirts, and he was a big part of that. He might be somebody they need to kick the door on. But I don't know if the Nebraska alum is going to be, if that's going to be big name enough for them. I mean, Nebraska needs to understand that they're not who they were. Like, this is something I struggle with all the time. Colorado's not what we were. So you're not what you were. You're not a commodity anymore. You don't run a division anymore. You don't run a conference anymore. You're Indiana in the Big Ten. We're Cal. So, like, I'm not talking shit. This sucks. So they've got to find somebody that's actually going to program build and not just sit there and talk about how good they are, yet they can't win. No one's denying that Nebraska has talent. They lost 8 games last year by 1 score. That said, if you consistently lose the same way, there's something wrong. And they saw it, and he's gone. So, oh man, I'd imagine they're going to kick the tires on everybody. But if you're a player on that team right now, it's your opportunity to go take over as a player and be like, this is our team now, and we'll see what we can see. But I don't see them having a very good season from here on out. Bummer for them. Feels good, doesn't it, idiots? Number 4.
So Texas played Alabama, and
Good job.
And by all respect, beat Alabama, but they had to also play the refs. So what's the most egregious missed call that you can remember?
And that fucking lack of a safety. I cannot remember another call, and I know there's other calls. I know there is. The NFC title game, the Rams Saints with the PI, that was an egregious missed call that cost New Orleans a chance at the Super Bowl. There's calls all the time. Last year in the Super Bowl, the face mask that they didn't call. I mean, it didn't cost anybody the game, but it was a touchdown. That's an egregious missed call. But this one at Texas, I know the refs. I know that Alabama had like 15 penalties. I get it. They damn near beat themselves. But the refs took points off the board. Like, that's a safety. He called the play dead. If you look at the replay, Bryce, his entire hand and half of his forearm is on the ground. If he would have fumbled that way, they would have said the ball was on the ground. So, look, Texas, this is the way it's going to be going to the SEC. This is what the SEC complains about all the time, is Alabama gets all the calls, the refs are in their pocket, yada, yada, yada. And I agree. Like, I don't feel comfortable, like, placing bets on fucking college games right now because the refs are so up and down. The rules are different everywhere. Each conference has a different stature on how they call things. And I feel like the refs played a massive part of this game and totally fucked Texas. Totally. And I fucking hate Texas. I hate them. But they got totally fucked. 100%, unequivocally, totally fucked. And anybody else that thinks that they didn't, you're an Alabama fan, period. The only people that don't think that Texas got fucked this weekend is Alabama fans. So, careful what you wish for, because karma's a bitch, and you're not as good as you were last year. And, I'd love to see Alabama not in the playoff, but I have a feeling the playoff this year is going to be Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State or Michigan, and USC. 5!
So Colorado football is taking an L except for Air Force this weekend.
That's everyone lost in the state other than Air Force.
Other than Air Force.
Everyone.
So who has had the worst start so far between CSU and CU this season?
I'm going to have to say CU because they lost a home game they could have won. They could have easily won the TCU game if they actually played football. And then the showing at Air Force was, I don't know if I've ever been more pissed off watching a CU game than I was in that game. And it's more so what were like the missed opportunities. I'm not necessarily mad at any one particular player other than JT Stroud. Look, bro, I know you transferred in here from Tennessee. I know you've been here, but you can't slide You can't slide. Like you can't sit here and as a fan, as an alum, I can't get behind that shit. Bro, we are not good. The team is getting hammered. We have a chance to come back. We keep getting chances, and you're gonna fucking slide instead of go get the first down on fourth goddamn down. You're sliding. It's just it's a complete microcosm to the entire thing that's going on in Boulder right now. We're fourth down. We're running for the sticks. Instead of sell out and go get it, we fucking slide, and we turn the ball over on downs. And to lose 41-10 the way they did, I feel bad for my guys up there because they want to win. I know the coaches want to win, and I know that everybody in Boulder wants scorched earth, and I don't blame them. This shit is terrible. No one likes this. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that I have to get on here and negatively talk about guys that I know personally. But you can't deny what we're watching on tape. You can't deny the lack of talent at the skill positions. I don't know if I've ever seen a Colorado team that this talent deprived at the skill positions. I didn't think the transfer portal would hurt us as much as it did. The transfer portal fucked us up. That transfer portal fucked us up proper. Bad. I'm watching the USC game, and Mekhi Beacom's out there making plays, picking the ball off in the end zone. That's CU guy. Christian Gonzalez is balling against Eastern Washington. That's CU guy. The first week of the season, the starting free safety, Mike Perry, for TCU was at CU last year. Michigan State, Broussard's up there balling. Jerry Rice's kid is balling at USC. So, like, those guys were all in Boulder last year. I'd imagine, I don't know if Coach Sanford's process works or not because I don't know what he's got. He doesn't have any. No one can catch the ball. All the receivers were dropping the ball like crazy the other day. It was raining like hell. Why don't you put gloves on? I don't understand it. So, there's so many things we could talk about specifically about Saturday that I don't want to get into because I don't want to ruin my week. It's Tuesday. I'm over it. But the slide was unbelievably terrible. Look, CSU's lost to Michigan in Ann Arbor. I'm not going to sit here and act like CU wouldn't go get beat 51-7-2. But the Middle Tennessee game, that shit's embarrassing. First of all, Coach Norvell asked everybody to go out and show up for the game and come out and fill the stands, and no one showed up because no one gives a shit up in Fort Collins. And you can't tell me you give a shit. I went to CU's home opener. If you're on Twitter or Instagram talking shit, CU, CSU, and you're a CSU fan and you didn't go support to their home opener, shut the fuck up. Shut up. You're a chump. You don't get to talk. You're just talking shit. So you didn't go support, and they got boat race. That was not 34-19 is not an indication of what it really was. They got absolutely hammered. So there's a massive talent problem at CU and CSU in the skill positions, in my opinion. There's some big guys. There's some good players in the trench. But again, I don't care how good you are in the trench. If you don't have skills, you're fucked. So, I talk about this with Chad Muma a lot on the show today when you see his interview is Wyoming walks into Colorado and takes players constantly, i.e. Chad Muma. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a fixable problem, but right now I'd have to say CU looks worse, but I think CSU is worse off, but not by much. 6.
So of those teams, the Rams and the Buffs, which team is going to turn it around the first?
Oh, man, it's really just going to hurt my feelings when I say this, but I think CSU will turn it around first, unless CU gets out of the Pac-12. Like if CU, Arizona State, and Utah go to the Big 12, which I don't see how they can't at this point. USC and UCLA are gone. All I keep hearing is Washington and Oregon are doing everything humanly possible to get into the Big 10. And I'd imagine that they either will, or when the LA market's gone for the Pac-12, there's no reason to be in the Pac-12 anymore. Period. So people have to start watching their own skin at that point. So if CU gets back in the Big 12, which I think is a better conference and fits their identity a little bit more, and they can go back and recruit Texas, which was such a fetal hotbed for them back in the day, and that they don't play in Texas anymore ever. This is why they're scheduling TCU so they can get back into Texas. So, if they go that direction, I think they have a legitimate shot to pull out of this. If they stay in a dying conference, they're irrelevant right now. No one watches. No one cares, and that sucks. CSU's in the Mountain West, so And Jay Norvell's already done it at Nevada. He's already turned a struggling program into a powerhouse. I think he can do that again in Fort Collins. I really do. I like his coaching staff. I think Billy Best is a good offensive line coach. I think they're going to have an opportunity to recruit the state if they honor it, which CU and CSU haven't done for years. And yes, there are guys from this program starting at CU and CSU, and that's great. I'm saying honoring the state from a whole and just all the players that come out of here, making sure that every single Division I Power 5 player or Division I Group of 5 player, or those players are offered by both schools and like legitimately recruited. And then the 1AA kids, losing Blake Haggerty to UNC, like that's a great get for Ed McCaffrey. He should be at CSU. So you've got to really evaluate those second tier kids and where are they going to fit and how are they going to develop. So I think it's bright for both schools if they do certain things. If they continue down the path they're on now, we're both fucked. And this is it's the worst time ever to be like illiterate of football. Worst ever because of social media and all the coverage and all the money and NIL and everything else. If all this would have happened in 1990, holy shit, where would CU and CSU be at this point? So this is the absolute worst time to be inept, and CU and CSU are definitely that. So shit, man, I don't think either make a bowl game, and you could be looking at maybe 1 or 2 wins total out of both teams this year, which breaks my fucking heart. Number 7, or Elway as we call it. What's the Elway question?
Well, we are going to head towards the NFL. Are you more excited about KC or concerned about Arizona?
So this was the opening game of the Sunday slot, and Kansas City looked fucking great. I mean, Patrick Mahomes went 5 touchdowns. The ball didn't seem like it hit the ground all day. Arizona couldn't cover. I mean, they couldn't cover anybody, and Kansas City just boat raced their ass. Look, I can't say I'm excited about Kansas City because I don't really want them to do well, but they're going to. I love watching good play, so watching Mahomes is fun for me. I don't really have the fandom thing in the NFL. I want to see good football. I want the Broncos to win. It's easier to cover a team when they win, but if they don't, it doesn't ruin my day. Like, I don't give a shit about last night. It's something to talk about. We will, but I don't really care the way that the rest of this community out here is all long-faced today. I'm more concerned about Arizona. Like, they look banged up. Their players aren't on the field. Kyler Murray was missing the most elementary blitz looks and the most elementary shit. They had one, like I did. Coach Jason Brown and I are doing a show on Monday nights on in the halftime called RPO. So go check that out. And he put up something last night about a quad look. Quads in the NFL. 4 receivers to one side. Quads in the fucking National Football League. And the safety's sitting right out here to the right, and they don't pick him up, and he throws a pick. And it's like, why do you think that guy's standing right there? They just gave you $150 million guaranteed. And there was a reason, there was a fucking clause in your contract saying you have to study. Because you don't. You don't study. You're stupid. You're football stupid. I'm not saying you're stupid, like as a man. I don't know you. But you're football stupid. You're football dumb. And the only reason that you've gotten away with it for so long is because you're fast and you're athletic. And eventually that shit's going to catch up. They're going to fucking figure it out. So I'm more concerned that Arizona just threw away $230 million fucking bucks, or however much they did, because that kid he's in trouble, bro. Arizona is going this way quick. I wouldn't be surprised if he is considered a bust in a year or two. 8.
Is there anything more worse than a tie on opening day? And how do we get rid of them?
Anything worse than a tie? No, there's nothing worse than a tie. It's almost as bad as all the incest in Game of Thrones. Okay, look, I don't understand it, but the same thing happened on the same day. On Sunday, I had to watch a fucking tie between the Colts and the Texans, and then on fucking Sunday night, House of Dragon, I had to watch an uncle and a niece get it on. And I don't understand it at all. So, yeah, can we change those 2 things about Sunday? Yes, the tie thing has to be legislated out, okay? It has to be. Like, come on, man. How long are we going to treat these NFL players like they're fucking China dolls? Nobody can play in the preseason. We don't want to play the game too long. Somebody might get hurt. The college kids can fucking play till someone wins, but the pros can't? Like, if you have a tie, you can't make the playoffs. That should be the new rule. Fuck you. You can go 16-0-1, but you can't make the fucking playoffs if you tie. They've got to get rid of it. It's a waste of time. Why did I just waste my day watching the Colts and the Texans tie? They got to figure this out. It's awful, awful, awful. Not as bad as the incest. I love the show so much, and there's so much incest. It's fucking weird. It's weird. It's okay. Fuck it. Number 9.
Philly and Minnesota square off on Monday night. Who is in a better position after week 1?
I'm going to go with Minnesota. Philly scored 38 fucking points and looked really good, but they also gave up 35 and didn't look very good on defense. Couldn't tackle anybody, although it is the first week. Minnesota kicked Green Bay's ass all over the field, and they looked like it was really important to them. It didn't look very important to Green Bay. All the sympathy for this kid that dropped the pass from Aaron Rodgers. Dog, catch the ball. What the fuck? You want to hear something? I say this all the time to the receivers in 6-0, and I get so much shit for it online. Every time somebody hears it, they're like, "Why don't you coach him?" These are hands. And if you have hands, you can catch, which means everyone can catch. So you have to put your mind to catching the ball. And if you drop Aaron Rodgers touchdown throws like that, he will find somebody that will catch the ball 100%. And your ass will be fucking serving beers in the concession line. So catch the goddamn ball. It's not like go work with him more. Catch the fucking ball. That's your job. So, Minnesota's good. Kevin O'Connell's got his shit together. Jordan Jefferson was running wide open all over the fucking field. Minnesota, I picked them to win the North this year. I'm going to stick with that, obviously. I think Minnesota is a really, really, really good-looking football team. And I don't know, this might be the year to break that curse. 4 Super Bowls and no wins. What if we got Minnesota-Buffalo this year? Oh, my God, that would be fucking crazy. One fan base is going to be so happy. The other one's just going to be, well, like they've always been. 10. I give it a fucking 10.
All right, so out of 10 teams that didn't play their starters in the preseason, 8 lost. Do you agree?
The Broncos.
Do you agree with sitting your starters?
No, fuck no. Get out there and play. You're paid to play football. I don't care if it's just one series just to knock the dust off. I watched Buffalo go out and chop up Denver for two series and set their guys on and got hurt. Tom Brady played in the last preseason game. He didn't get hurt. Like, come on, man. Dak Prescott didn't play at all, and his ass is hurt in fucking the first 3 quarters, out for 8 weeks, and it wasn't egregious. So you can't legislate contact out of the game. You can't make it safe. It's not. All you can do is get ready for it, and getting ready for it requires callous. And this is what happens when you don't fucking play your guys. Point in case, what happened with the Broncos last night? That shit was unbelievably terrible. Hackett didn't have any in-game, recall with the guys he's watched on the field. All he did was watch ripping. He doesn't know how Russell's going to handle it in an in-game situation. We're going to talk about that monstrosity, but that's just a precursor. 8 out of 10 lost, and everybody thinks this is the way to go. Look, the worst thing in football right now, in my opinion, is this overstating that the first 4 weeks of the regular season is part of the preseason. Like, hey, September's just an extension of the preseason now. Fuck that, it is. You could lose a game right now in a good division that keeps you out of the playoffs. This is the regular season. The bullets are live, and you better wake the fuck up. And those 8 teams that didn't play their guys, I guarantee you next year they do. Guaranteed. Guaranteed the Rams, the Packers have done it now 2 years in a row and just shit on themselves opening week. The Broncos are in that mix. They're going to play their guys next year, at least a series, guaranteed. Because you can't look at this and not think it's a fucking problem. So let's just go straight into the Broncos based off of that. If you look at all these teams around the NFL, the Packers, the Bengals, the fucking Cowboys, especially those 3, none of their starters played. They all lost. They all looked terrible doing it. The Broncos looked, I'm not going to say they looked terrible. Russell was 29 of 42 and, 340 and they had multiple opportunities inside the red zone to score. Hey, weird Melvin fucking Gordon had more touches and fumbled inside the red zone. So I just understand something. When Melvin Gordon got re-signed, I hated it. I've been adamant about hating it on the radio and on the podcast. In passing and conversation, I despise the move. And this is why. Because he got more rushing attempts. I know he didn't get more touches. Javonte Williams had 11 catches, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Yes, I want to get him involved, but he shouldn't have 11 catches. Your receiver should have those catches. It's like check down Charlie last night. That's what I was watching. Melvin Gordon had 12 rushing attempts and fumbled inside the fucking 5. And I'm not going to put him and Javonte Williams on the same plane. That's Javonte Williams' first goddamn fumble. Melvin Gordon is Mr. Fumble. That's what he's known for. So the fact that he's getting more actual carries, the fact that they only ran the ball 19 times and they're only down by 1 score, it looked to me like the old Broncos. I thought we were done getting 16-point games. And then let's just talk about what everybody's talking about, because that's really what it comes down to. The field goal at the end of the game is maybe the worst call I've ever seen in Broncos history. And it's your first game, Hackett. And this is what you do. It's your first fucking game. And you let 50 some odd seconds that play to Javonte went like 9 or 10 yards, and they had 50 some seconds, right? And then they had 3 timeouts, and he let it run all the way down to 20 something and took a timeout and tried a 64-yard field goal in Seattle, no less. We're not even in Denver. I know McManus is a fucking badass and his nuts are this big, but goddamn, you're asking an awful lot of that guy, aren't you? And didn't we just fucking trade like a boatload of picks and personnel? Consequently, guys who showed up last night for Seattle, by the way, keep that in mind. Shelby Harris balled the fuck out. Shelby Harris was killing people in the red zone. The fucking offensive line for the Broncos inside the red zone was getting murked. Maybe you should do some 9-on-7 full contact fucking run drills in camp so you can actually get big at the line of scrimmage and score touchdowns. Al Wood was throwing Glasgow around and Reisner around like they were rag dolls. I mean, the entire game. Look at some of those fucking 3 techniques where they were blocking him one-on-one. So the return on investment for Seattle was pretty high last night. The return on Denver was monumentally low. The fact that they didn't allow Russell Wilson a chance on 4th and 5 with his feet and everything else, and he's tied for the league in the last 10 years in comebacks, and you're not going to allow him to do it in his first game, his first fucking game ever as a Bronco, and you're going to handcuff him like this? I'd rather us lose on 4th and 5 than try a 64-yard field goal and waste 30 seconds doing it. It's such a coward move to me. And if I'm in that locker room right now, I understand that everybody said, we believe in Nate and blah, 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 blah. But that's the kind of shit we get on the plane afterwards, and we all sit down and we're all going home late night on a Monday night after you just lost by a fucking point to a team you should boat race, and they should have. And with all the 4 missed opportunities inside the red zone are egregious enough. They should have beat that team by 28 points last night. And I have confidence that they'll figure this out and get it right. But again, losing that game last night will probably be the reason the Broncos don't make the playoffs, if you want to guess, because that will rear its ugly head again. When you play to the level of your competition like they did last night, that will rear its ugly head again, 100%, and they'll lose another game down the road that they're supposed to win. And in this division with Kansas City and the Chargers, they play Thursday, by the way. That's going to be a great game. The Raiders are pretty good. They ran with the Chargers the whole game, although their offensive line is terrible, maybe worse inside than we are. And I'm not saying we're bad, but we got abused last night. When you're looking at all this, I seem to think that like last night was storybooked. It's set up perfectly for Russ to go win the game. All you needed was 2 more first downs. Why the fuck are we kicking a 64-yard field goal? And that's exactly what the guys on the plane said after the game, guarantee. Everybody got on the plane, sat down, they turned off the lights. All the fucking coaches are in first class. All the players are in the back. Everybody's sitting there passing around beers and crown shots and blah, 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 and sitting there going, what in the motherfuck did we just do? I know we didn't play well, but we had a chance to win at the end, and coach took it out of the players' hands and put it in the hands of our kicker. And he didn't put it in the hands of our kicker from 40. He put it in the hands of our kicker from 60 fucking 4 outside. There's a difference. Justin Tucker first of all, he's the best kicker in NFL history. McManus is good, but he's not Tucker. And that the kick last year was in a dome in Detroit, not on the fucking waterfront in Seattle. I mean, come on, dog. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And if this is the way this is going to be, then we just hired another coach that doesn't know situations, that didn't know he had timeouts, that didn't know how to use the timeouts, and has totally mismanaged the game from a clock standpoint, just like fucking Vance did and just like Fangio did. Exactly like they did. So I really hope that the Broncos use this as an opportunity to get right, because everything good that happened in that game last night, there were some good things, was overshadowed by the fact that they looked like they weren't ready to play, and they weren't. Multiple turnovers that obviously they weren't ready to play because the ball security issues are a direct reflection of that. The right guard goes down and you put in Glasgow and he gets absolutely boat raced. He was getting his ass beat the whole game. So you got to figure out your interior offensive line, which we thought was going to be a problem. We talked about multiple times, and right off the bat, it's rearing its ugly head. Again, go watch Al Woods come off the bench on the goal line and just murk everybody. Go watch Shelby Harris murk everybody off the bench, or murk everybody inside the 10-yard line. The receiving core looked good, but again, they were off. I thought Russ and the receivers were off. That's why you had 11 completions to Javonte Williams. Although I want the backs more involved, I'd rather Judy have 11 catches or Sutton have 11 catches than Javonte. And then the fucking Melvin Gordon thing, bro. The fact that he got more carries right off the bat. I knew this shit was going to happen. I fucking knew it. I talked about it so many times on Altitude and on the podcast. He's going to get more carries. He's going to get more look because he's older, and this is going to fucking it's going to stunt the growth of a great player in Javonte Williams, who was running angry as fuck last night and lowering his head and making guys pay at the second level. So look, the Broncos, they have Houston coming up, and if you want to sleep on Houston, go ahead. They just took a team that I think is really, really good and tied with them. That's fucking cute, by the way. Nice tie. But they're far from a bad football team, and they can easily come into Denver and get a win if we don't take them seriously. So that was about as bad an opener as I can remember, just because the expectation level was so high. And they just didn't live up to it at all. They shit all over themselves, period. All over themselves. And we did not have an adult diaper on. This is just a disgusting display. There's shit everywhere. It's on a bus. There's other people involved. It's bad, okay? It's just bad. So what will they do moving forward? I don't know, man. I don't work for the goddamn Broncos, but I can tell you this. They better figure it out, because that shit ain't going to work. That's not going to work. So I don't know if you could have a worse weekend for Colorado football. Every team in the state of Colorado, other than Air Force, who beat CU, lost. All of them. And the Broncos had the fucking icing on the cake last night with that bullshit that we watched for 3.5 hours. Although Seattle's really happy this morning. We make Geno Smith look like a goddamn superstar. So, look, man, it is what it is. I don't know the answer to these questions. I hope that they come out against the Texans to play a lot better, and I would expect them to. But I guess we'll see. Chad Muma's on the show today, so we're going to go to the Chad Muma interview. And it is my honor and pleasure to bring on a member of the Dungeon family and a guy who started this program over at 60 Football Academy when he was a freshman in high school. Man, 8-9 years ago now. A rookie for the Jacksonville Jaguars, a third-round draft pick last year for Jacksonville out of Wyoming. Legend High School product right down the street here in Parker, Colorado, where we're based here at 60 Football Academy. One of the GOATs out of this program, Chad Muma, joins us here on the podcast. And Chad, brother, to say it's good to talk to you is an understatement. How is life?
No, life is great. It's life in the NFL now. And so, I'm loving everything and just really enjoying it and, staying busy as you might expect going into the season. Yeah.
So last year, you had an incredible season in Wyoming, one of the best linebackers in the country. You were nominated for the Butkus, playing for Coach Bull up there, and Wyoming is entrenched in recruiting this room, as you know. You being part of this room for as long as you have been. The Wyoming in recruitment, when they were recruiting you right off the bat, you started 6-0 when you were a true freshman. You worked your ass off. You got to the point where Wyoming started recruiting you really hard, and you end up there. Just talk about your development from the time you got to Wyoming to the time where they drafted you, and just, how much it helped you playing under a guy like Coach Bohl.
Yeah, I think it was huge, going into that freshman year. I think, I was only about 195 pounds going into college. And I think that's one thing. Every single year I gained about 10 pounds in weight and ended my, senior season at like 235. And so that was always huge for my development. And then also just kind of learning from those guys like Logan Wilson, who plays for Cincinnati Bengals now, Cash Maluia, who was drafted by the New England Patriots and was there for a stint. I was able to really learn, the linebacker position behind those guys and really, develop my game into, being to the level it was at my senior year to have the potential to go get drafted. And so, having a guy like Coach Bohl, he was huge in, just my development as well. He kind of shaped me into a leader. I was a 2-time captain there. So I was able to have great conversations with Coach Bohl and, kind of lead the Wyoming defense out there. And so, I think I'm really grateful for Wyoming and the program. I think that Coach Bohl does a fantastic job of, just getting guys ready for the NFL, especially just with the guys and coaches that he brings in and surrounds himself with.
And look, you're a Legend High School product right down the street here. We're in Parker off of Progress, and Legend is 10 minutes away. And, when you walked in the building as a freshman, you could see the athletic ability and the length, and you were playing safety for Legend at that point. And one thing I love about Wyoming and the way they do things is their ability to see talent and their ability to see development. Like, they know a guy has to develop, and their plan fits with my plan. Like, when I remember saying to Wyoming, if you bring this kid in and develop him, this is what you're going to get, what we're talking about right now. So I remember talking to you about this when you were in high school before you left for college, and several conversations in college about just, after watching you ball out on a Saturday, just the simple communication of, keep your head down, keep working. You're going to have the world by the balls here pretty soon. And now, brother, you're cupping it. You got the world by the fucking short and curlies, and life is awesome. Okay. So there's a bunch of kids in here right now that used to be in your shoes, or that are, let me rephrase that. There's a bunch of kids in 6-0 right now. You used to be where they're at right now, working every day, 5 a.m. film sessions, me on their ass. What would you say to all these guys? Everybody that we interview, every time I say that, you're like, yeah, he was on my ass.
Yeah.
What would you say to these guys that are in this program over here at 6-0 Academy about, chasing their goals and their dreams and making sure that they're doing things right every day? And then my message, is it pretty consistent with what you thought would happen?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I think, my biggest message towards them is just the consistency, because, obviously they're not going to be where they want to be at right now. Coming out of high school, I didn't have any Power 5 offers. It was all Group of 5 offers, all those coaches that saw me developing. And there was no way I was going to be able to get to the point I'm at today without that consistent, effort towards everything I'm doing, whether it's, eating the amount of food I need to eat to gain weight, whether it's consistently practicing, working hard in the weight room and practice in the film room, everything like that. I think it just all relays back to, that constant effort to make sure that you're, putting yourself in position to go achieve the goals that you want. And I think that's very true. Walking into 6-0 back then, I was scrawny, I was little, but I still had that drive in me. And, even with you getting on us every single day at 5 a.m., that's the last thing that we want to hear at 5 a.m. as a high schooler. But, I think it's much needed, and just to understand that, you're pushing us because you see what is in us, and you're not yelling at us just to be a dick or an asshole. It's about, driving us to, see the potential that we possibly have. And I think that's something that, all those young athletes can see, is just that you're getting on them to, get them better and get them to where they can be at. And so they just got to believe in themselves and continue to strive for their goals.
Yeah, I always say that if I'm not on your ass, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not drilling you, that's bad. And I know that you've had coaches like that. I know Coach Bohl he's not going to trade punches. Like, he's going to tell you what it is, and you're going to say yes, sir, and you're going to go back to work. And now you're playing for Coach Peterson down there, and he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. He demands respect. So the lessons that I try and instill in everybody in here, and some guys hear it, some guys don't. Some guys are more successful than others, as now, I know you see it, the attrition of football, and everybody's got their own clock, right? So that's really why I'm on everybody's asses, so you can adapt to the coaches who have mortgages and expectations. Because now you're in a position now where, being as high as you were drafted, and with the future in front of you, your first game was Sunday against the Washington Commanders. You guys took an L, but that's the nature of the NFL. It's come back and deal with it and fix your mistakes and go to work and fix the problems, and every day get better and better. So talk about that first NFL action. I remember my first NFL game. It was fast and furious. Talk about that first NFL action. Did anybody get you? Did you get anybody? Just talk about your first game.
Yeah, first, regular season game, I kind of compared it to, preseason. When I first saw my first preseason game, that seemed fast. And then I get to the regular season, and it just seems like everyone has that step up, and that intensity just steps up and ramps up even a little bit higher. And so you can definitely feel the speed out there. And that's just something you just got to kind of get used to. But, being on special teams and having like 7 reps, 10 reps out on defense at linebacker that first game, there wasn't any really moments that, I got or they got, just because there wasn't too many opportunities that I had. I had one tackle on special teams, and so that was good, running down on punt and kind of getting in on the tackle on that one. But no real big opportunities that I got yet. I think back to my first preseason game when I was getting more reps. We were playing Las Vegas Raiders, and Josh Jacobs, their running back, he was playing same time I was playing. And, it's my first rep out there. They're running a little, I think it was a little run to my right. And I made a nice little move on the pulling tackle that came up. And so I got underneath, and Josh Jacobs is right there. I'm one-on-one with Josh Jacobs, and he gave me a nice little stiff arm with my feet kind of offset. And that's kind of my welcome to the NFL moment. And then quickly after that, I made a tackle on him on the sideline. So it's, everyone gets paid in the NFL. It's just, you gotta be ready sometimes.
Hey man, there's no one cares how old you are. If you can go ball, you can go ball, and you definitely can do that. So look, you're a rookie. I know you're carrying pads and shit like that, but what's the weirdest request you've gotten in the room to go buy? I used to have to go buy like 200 cheeseburgers at a time.
Oh, geez. No, I haven't had any 200 cheeseburgers at a time. So our linebackers, I was fortunate enough where we have Devin Lloyd and me, who are both drafted guys. And so we got 2 rookies in the room. So we kind of split up and divvy up, whether it's going to buy snacks. Like the other day, they requested I had to go to Trader Joe's for a specific fruit snack, just like a random place that's like 30 minutes away from our facilities. And so that was one. And then the other day for special teams, we have special teams meeting. I had to get everyone breakfast in there. So I got like 50, Chick-fil-A breakfast sandwiches for everyone.
So that's like 200. That's 50 for the linebackers is equivalent to 200 for the linemen.
Oh yeah, 100%. And so it's those rookie duties. And so, just kind of say, yes, I got you. And then you go do it. And as long as you get it, they're pretty happy.
And you and Devin just sit there in the locker room. You're like, are we going to dinner this week? Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. No, we're still waiting on that rookie dinner. They haven't told us when, but they're thinking it's going to be later in the season.
You might want to go open up a credit card for that one, because they're going to gouge you just to gouge you, the bastards.
Oh yeah, I know. That's that they've been talking about it. They haven't brought us out yet, but at least I'll have Devin and me to split the check on that one.
Well, at least you guys will have a good time. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah.
Chad Muma joining us here, 3rd round draft pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars this year out of the University of Wyoming up north. A legend Titan product, and a guy who started his career here at 6'0" when he was a true freshman way back in the day when he played safety for Legend. Legend High School has always had a proud tradition of guys in this room, from you to Tate to Trustin, who's still playing. He's at Central Arkansas right now. They got some really good players over there right now. Last year they put out Bryce Vass, who went to UNC. What would you say to your Legend Titan brothers out over there? Just a real quick get them up, because they're 3-0 and balling right now. They're really kicking a lot of people's ass.
I know they're balling. They've been balling since I left. I don't know what's up with that.
Well, you left and they started winning.
They started winning as soon as I leave. I don't know if that was the issue right there, but no, I love seeing that. I love keeping up with Legend football, and so it's awesome seeing those guys, continue having winning seasons.
Hey, so real quick before we get you out of here, Chad, what is the thing about 6-0 that you remember the most? Is it a morning session that people throwing up out the door? Is it just the reps? Is it the consistency like we talked about earlier? Is it the film study? What's one thing that you can share with all these people about the insanity of 6-0? Yeah,
no, every time I think of 6-0, it's just like, it's the embodiment of everything. It's 6-0. It's that tough, hard working. It's, me throwing up midway in the workout, going to do back to the workout, throwing up again, going back to the workout. It's just that 6-0 mentality. It's that dungeon family. And that's truly what I think about it every single time. And, I think back, as a high schooler going in there and, having those film sessions with either your team or solo, whatever it was, I always found that very valuable, just because of, learning that football I feel like it really prepared me for college and helped me, have that first understanding of what I needed to have going into college so I could play as a true freshman. So I think that was huge. And I think,
you're one of the few defensive guys that I've had in this program. There's Alex Padilla is another one, the quarterback at Iowa, but he's an offensive guy. Very few defensive guys walk in here and see things like a quarterback does. And you're one of those guys. You walked in and saw the personnel groupings and the formation packages and the guards that were light and the tendency packages. And it took you, in my opinion, watching your development throughout your stages at Wyoming and then your senior year where you just fucking blew up. It's because you knew what was coming, bro. And I remember having so many conversations with you about, look, if they do this, this is what you're going to get. And then you would take it and apply it on the high school level. So I knew you were going to apply it on the college level. Did you find yourself guessing right a lot? Because a lot of those pick sixes and TFLs, those don't just happen. Otherwise, everybody would do that shit.
Oh no, 100%. That just doesn't just happen just by luck. It's definitely seeing the picture before the play, and I think it goes back to film study and truly understanding your opponent and what they like to do out of certain personnel, certain tendencies, certain down and distance, everything that can go into it. And I think that definitely helps, is just knowing that picture before, and you're not really guessing at that point. It's 12 purse. They're in sling, and they're in dot right here. It's 90% run. They like to run the press open or whatever it may be. It's just all these different things that can go into it. But it's just having those tendencies, and then you see that first step, and you're like, all right, it's press open. I'm gonna go hit it right now. And so it's just quick like that. Once you kind of get it down and narrow it down through your film study.
So, is Wyoming the next, look, man, you guys are putting out you and Logan White and Josh Allen. You guys got dudes all over the NFL. What is it about that program up there where they take these, these undervalued recruits, as we want to, because none of you guys are Power 5 players. You guys all ended up at Wyoming, but you're all absolutely dominating in your different fields, and you're a rookie, and you're going to be on the next path too. Logan has turned himself into one of the best linebackers in football, and he's going to be in that position for the next 10, 12 years if he stays healthy. And Josh Allen might be the best quarterback in football right now. So before we get you out of here, what is it about Wyoming that's so different? And I know we're giving them a lot of love, but look, bro, I'm a Colorado grad. CSU's right up the street, and they're not having this kind of success reeling in developmental players that can help them win. They're not going to bowl games every year. So what is it? What's the difference up in Wyoming to the other places?
No, I like you said, I think they find those underdeveloped players coming out of high school, and they just see the potential in them. And I think, what they really do a good job is getting those guys that, want to work and want to put in the effort and want to, really get better to then put themselves in that position. I think, Coach Bull, like I said earlier, he does a great job of finding those coaches to kind of delegate everything and, whatever his vision is, they can, put it across. And I think that, Jay Sawvell up there, I had 3 different coordinators, defense coordinators when I was there. And, each one was really good in my development and just helping me understand the game and helping me become a better linebacker. And I think, that's credit to Coach Bull, just because he always brings in those guys that are going to, help us out the most. And, I think, another thing that Coach Bull does a great job with is, the film study and walkthroughs that we go through up at Wyoming. I think they're huge to, young players' development.
Chad Muma, thank you so much for coming on the show, bro. I know that everybody in here, all these kids in here, look up to you big time. I'm looking forward to getting that 48 up on the wall in here one of these days. And I'll see you this offseason for damn sure. Good luck this weekend on your upcoming game, and keep balling, brother. Your opportunity is just going to keep knocking. Chad Muma joins us here on Savage and Average. I am your host, Matt McChesney. That is Chad Muma. Later, brother. Have a great day.
Later. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We will be back next week. I don't know who the guest is going to be, but we will keep you updated, no less. So I am Matt McChesney. Big thanks to Colorado Center of Functional Medicine for all that they do to support the show. Their protein's outstanding. I'm about to go hit me some right now after my workout. So make sure you check them out as well. They do a great job supporting the show and supporting the guys at the gym. So this is Savage and Average, and we are out. Have a good day, folks.